Hello students, welcome to grammar class. I hope you all are safe and fine. So students, as you can see, this is your grammar book and today we will read the first chapter from this book. And the name of the first chapter is Nouns. So let's get started. Students, please open page number 7 from your book. I have already opened it. So today we will discuss the chapter Nouns. Students, I think you all know that in English there are 8 parts of speech. In English there are 8 parts of speech and noun is one among them. So, as the chapter is about noun, first we have to make our concept clear about what noun is or what is called noun. So students, today we will try to understand it in a simple way. So students, just think, every day we see so many things around us, so many objects around us. Some have life in them, that means living things. Some don't have life in them, that means non-living things. Now, in order to identify or to recognize these living and non-living things, we give them different names. And these names are called nouns. So, we may say that nouns are basically naming words. It can be the name of a person, it can be the name of a place, an animal, a thing, or sometimes it can be names of feelings or qualities as well. So, students, now we will try to understand nouns through some examples. Students, you can see here I have written some sentences. Now let's read the sentences. First, Hari is tall. The dog is mad. I live in Nagpur. The rose is beautiful. Love makes the world go round. This pen is mine. I have a computer. Now see here in all these sentences, there are some underlined words. Now these underlined words are nouns. Now you may think that why are they nouns or why are they called nouns? Students, as I have already told you, nouns are basically names or naming words. So, all these are actually names. See here, Hari is tall. We know that Hari is the name of a person. Dog. We know that dog is the name of an animal. Nagpur. We know that Nagpur is the name of a place. Rose. It is the name of a flower. Love. Love is the name of an emotion or you may say feeling. Pen. It is the name of an object or of a thing. Computer. Computer is the name of an electronic device or you may say a machine. So, all these words are actually telling us about the names of different things. That's why they are all nouns. So, nouns can be sometimes the name of a person, the name of an animal, the name of a place, or names of different things, even names of feelings or emotions as well. So I hope students the basic concept of nouns is clear to everyone and you can understand well that how important nouns are in our day-to-day life, because without them we cannot give names to any objects or any things around us. So students, now we will read their classifications. Here we can see some kinds or types of nouns are given. First of all, we will read about proper nouns. So students, now we will know about proper nouns. See, here it is written specific names. Now what does it mean? Specific name? It means special names. So, a proper noun is the special name of a particular person, place or thing. So, let's read the example, then we can understand them well. First, Sheila. Now, we know that Sheila is the special name of a particular woman. Kochi. We can understand that it is the special name of a particular place. History. History is the special name of a particular subject. Red Fort. This is the special name of a particular historical fort. Now here we will see some more examples of proper nouns. See first Raju. From this name we can understand that this is the special name of a boy or a man. If I say Raju made 20 runs, that means I am talking about a particular boy whose name is Raju. Similarly, Delhi. Delhi is the special name of a particular place. The Ganga. Ganga is the special name of a particular river. India. India is the special name of a country. We know that in the world there are many countries and India is one among them. So, India is a special name of a particular country in the world. Now, the next one is the statesman. This is the special name of a particular newspaper, of a particular English newspaper. Now, the Indian Ocean. This is the special name of an ocean. Friday. Friday is the special name of a day. We know that there are 7 days in a week and Friday is one of the special days in the week. So, Friday is the special name for a day in the week. Now, War and Peace. This is the special name of a particular book. So, students, from these examples, we can understand that proper nouns basically give spatial identity to a person, place, or to different other things. Now, students, we will read about common nouns. So, common nouns are basically general names. So, we may say that common nouns are actually the common names or general names given to every person, place, animal or thing of the same class or kind. Okay. I know students, the definition may sound difficult, but if we see some examples, then we can get a clear idea of common noun. So let's see some examples. Students, you can see here I have written some examples of common nouns. So the first word is lady. You have heard this word many times. So the word lady is a common name for a class of female. So lady is a common name for a class of female. And from that class of female, we can call any of them lady. But just think, if I say Shumita is a kind lady, then the word Shumita is not common noun because it is the special name of a particular lady. That's why it is the proper noun. Now come to the next one, girl. Girl also a common name for a class of female child. But if I say Pooja is a sweet girl, then the name Pooja is not common noun because it is the special name of a particular girl. So, girl is common noun, but the special name of any particular girl, just like Pooja here, is proper noun. Now see the next example, that is school. Now we all know that school is a common name for an institution where we go to get education at the secondary or higher secondary level. But if you say that the name of my school is St. Teresa Day School, then St. Teresa Day School becomes proper noun because it is the special name of a particular school. That's why it is proper noun while school is common noun. Now the next example is teacher. Now we know teacher is a common name given to all the human beings who teach in different institution, who teach in different educational institution. So, teacher is a common noun. But if I say Peter sir is our English teacher, then the name Peter becomes proper noun because Peter is a special name of a particular teacher. Now, see the next example, book. Book is also a common noun. Now, you may think that why is book a common noun? See, all these are books. We can call all of them books. Okay, this is a book, this is also a book, this is also a book. So, we can call each of them by a common name, that is book. But see, the name of this book is The Shadow Lines. So, The Shadow Lines is the special name of this book. That's why it is proper noun. So, The Shadow Lines is a proper noun because it is the special name of this particular book. Now, the next example is pen. See, we can call all of them by a common name, that is pen. So, pen gives them a common identity. It is also a pen, it is also a pen, and these two are also pen. Now, the next example is doctor. Doctor, we know, are the persons who treat us when we fall sick. So, doctor is a common name for all of them. But if I say Devi Shetty is a renowned doctor, then the name Devi Shetty becomes proper noun because this is the special name of a particular doctor. In the same way, city. City is also a common name because it can be any city. We can talk about any city. But when we are saying Kolkata is a large city, then Kolkata becomes proper noun because it is the special name of a particular city. Now come to the next example, dog. Dog is the common name given to a class of animals. So, dog is a common name given to a class of animals, and from that group or class we can call any of them by a common name, that is dog. But if you say that there is a pet dog at my home and the name of my dog is Scooby, then Scooby becomes proper noun because it is the special name of your dog, that means of a particular dog. That's why Scooby becomes proper noun while dog is common noun because it is a common name of a class of animal, and from that class anyone can be called by a common name, that is dog. Now come to the next example, orange. Now students, we all know that orange is a common name given to a same class of fruits. If you say I have bought some oranges from the market, that means you have bought some fruits from the same class. That's why orange is the common name for all of the fruits of that same class. So students, now I think your idea or your concept of common noun is clear. So students, now I hope you can easily differentiate between common nouns and proper nouns. But please keep one thing in mind, that proper noun always begins with capital letter. See, all these words, all of them are written with capital letter at the beginning. So please keep it in mind that a proper noun always begins with capital letter. Now students, we will read the further divisions of common noun, that is countable noun and uncountable noun. Both of them are very easy to understand. First we will read about countable nouns. See, here it is written can be numbered as singular or plural. So that means the nouns that we can count are called countable nouns. Just think, every day we see so many things around us and many of them can be counted. So, those which we can count are called countable nouns. Now, if we see some examples, then we can understand it more clearly. So, let's see some examples. See students, here I have written some examples of countable nouns. First example is boy. We know that boy is a countable noun because we can count them. Just like one boy, two boys, three boys. That's why it also has plural form. So please keep it in mind that countable nouns have plural forms as they can be counted. See the next example, fan. It can also be counted. That's why it has plural form as well. Similarly, coin, note, man, book, bat, bag, all of them can be counted. We can count all of these things. That's why they all have plural forms. So, they are called countable nouns. Now come to the next one, that is uncountable noun. So, uncountable noun is the opposite of countable noun. See, here it is written cannot be numbered. That means we cannot count them. Okay. So, let's see the example. Water, cement, air, wisdom. Just think, can we count water or can we count cement? Is it possible to count air or is it possible to count wisdom? No, they are not possible to count. That's why they are called uncountable nouns. Let's see some other examples of uncountable nouns. See some other examples of countable nouns. Oil, milk, sand, salt. We all know that it is not possible to count them. We cannot count oil. Just like 1 oil, 2 oil, 3 oil, 4 oil. It is not possible to count them in this way. Because oil is a liquid. In the same way, milk, it is also a liquid and it's not possible to count. Sand and salt, we also cannot count them. We also cannot count sand and salt. That's why all of these are uncountable nouns because we cannot count them. We cannot count any one of them. So students, now you can understand the difference between countable and uncountable nouns. While countable nouns can be counted by numbers, uncountable nouns cannot be counted. That's why they don't have plural forms. While they are countable, that's why they have plural forms. So I hope students, now the concept of countable and uncountable noun is understood by all. So we will move on to the further divisions of countable nouns. So here we can see that countable noun can be divided into two groups. First one is concrete noun, then abstract noun. First we will read about concrete nouns. See what is written here, can be experienced through any of the five senses. Now what does it mean? It means that concrete nouns are words that refer to objects that we can experience with our five senses. That means by smelling, by seeing, hearing, tasting and touching. So if we see some examples, then we can understand it more clearly. Now see, here I have written some examples of concrete nouns. The examples are elephant, hammer, train, school, pencil, eraser, doll, mountain. Now you may think that why are they called concrete nouns? They all are called concrete nouns because they have their own shape or form. That's why we can touch them, we can see them, or we can felt them by our five senses. Just see, this is a pen. This is also an example of concrete noun because it has its own form or shape. That's why we can see it, we can touch it. Similarly, this is a book. It also has its own form or shape. That's why I can touch it or I can see it. So this is all about concrete nouns. Now we will read about abstract nouns. Now students, abstract noun, which is complete opposite of concrete nouns. Now let's read the definition. Concept, idea, state of mind, quality, feeling. Now what does it mean? It means that abstract nouns are words that name ideas, feelings, quality, concepts, and they do not have own shape or form. In concrete nouns, we have seen that they have their own shape or form. But abstract nouns, they don't have their own shape or form. That means they cannot be felt by our five senses. We just can think of them, but we cannot touch them or see them. Let's read the examples, then we can understand them. Here are some examples of abstract nouns. Kindness, hate, sleep, honesty, cruelty, anger. Now a question may come into your mind that why are they called abstract nouns? Let's try to understand. See the first example, kindness. Just think students, if a person is kind to me, can I touch his kindness the way I can touch a pen or a sharpener? No, it's not possible. It's not possible to touch his or her kindness. I can only understand that the person is kind to me through his or her behavior. Similarly, I cannot touch someone's head or even sleep. While a person is sleeping, I can only see the person who is sleeping, not his sleep. In the same way, all of them cannot be seen or touched as they don't have any form or shape. That's why we can just think of them but cannot feel them through our five senses. So students, we have understood concrete noun and abstract nouns. Now students, we will see the divisions of uncountable nouns. Here we can find that uncountable nouns can also be divided into two groups, that is concrete and abstract, just like the countable nouns. But there is a basic difference between uncountable concrete nouns and countable concrete nouns. See what is the difference? First, countable concrete nouns. Boy, paper, chair. See, all of them can be counted. That's why they have plural forms. Boys, papers, chairs. Like one boy, two boys, three boys, one chair, two chairs, three chairs. But in case of uncountable concrete nouns, we cannot count them. It is not possible for us to count water or oil or sugar or cement. So, uncountable concrete nouns cannot be counted. That's why they don't have plural forms as well. Now we will find out what is the difference between uncountable abstract nouns and countable abstract nouns. Let's see. Here you can see some examples of countable abstract nouns and uncountable abstract nouns. Countable abstract nouns. Examples are hopes, desires, feelings, dreams, thoughts. And uncountable abstract nouns, examples are happiness, wisdom, joy, fun, jealousy. Now the thing is दोनों के बीच में difference क्या है? See, countable abstract nouns. Hopes. It has a singular form, that is hope. Similarly, desires, feelings, dreams, thoughts, all of them have singular form like desire, feeling, dream, thought. That means countable abstract nouns can be used in both singular sense and plural sense. But uncountable abstract nouns, they cannot be used in plural sense. Now students, a question can come to your mind that how can we use abstract nouns in plural sense, or why are they countable? Yes, I am telling you the reason. Just think of the first word, hope. In our life, we hope for so many things, right? Not only for one thing. That's why we can use it in plural form, hopes. Similarly, desire. In our heart, we have so many desires, not only one desire. That's why desires. Now, feeling. In the same way, in our heart, we have different kinds of feelings. That's why it can be easily used in plural sense. Now, an interesting one, dream. Think student, when we sleep, it is not that we always have just one dream. It often happens that while sleeping, we have more than one dream. That's why it dreams. Or in our life, we may have more than one dream to fulfill. That's why dreams also can be used. Now, thought. In our mind, we don't have just one thought. It is never possible to have only one thought in our mind. Many thoughts come to our mind. Many kinds of thoughts come into our minds. That's why it can also be used in plural sense. So now I think students, the idea of countable abstract nouns is clear to all of you. That why are they called countable abstract nouns? Abstract because they cannot be touched or seen. We cannot see them or we cannot touch them. But they can be used in plural sense. That's why they are countable. On the other hand, uncountable abstract nouns, they cannot be used in plural sense. That's why they don't have plural form. Now the question is, why can't they be used in plural sense? Just think student, happiness. We never say many happiness or many wisdom. We don't think of them in many, in terms of many. That's why they are uncountable. Many joy, many fun. We cannot think of them in this way. That's why they are uncountable abstract nouns. Now, why abstract nouns? That you all know. Because they don't have any shape or form. We cannot touch them, we cannot see them, or we cannot feel them through our five senses. But we can only think of them. That's why they are abstract nouns, but don't have plural forms. That's why they are uncountable. Now students, I think the difference between countable abstract nouns and uncountable abstract nouns is clear to everyone. Now let's move on to the next one. The next type of noun is collective nouns. Now from the word collective, we can think of collection. So collective noun stands for groups or collection. So what is the definition of collective nouns? When a noun stands for a collection of persons or things and considered as one complete whole, then it is called collective noun. Let's see some examples, then we can understand it more clearly. Here are some examples of collective nouns. The first one is pack of wolves. Now here the word pack stands for group. If I say a pack of wolves attacked the travelers, that means a group of wolves attacked the travelers. The next example is bunch of keys. That means many keys are kept together. A set of keys. Similarly, army of ants. That means many ants together or a group of ants. Shoal of fish. If I say the fisherman saw a shoal of fish. That means the fisherman saw a group of fish. Now the next one, gang of thieves. The word gang also refers to a group. A gang of thieves means a group of thieves. Band of musicians. Band of musician means a group of musicians. So all the words here like pack, bunch, army, shoal, gang, band, all they are called collective nouns because they stand for collection or group of something. That's why they are collective nouns. Now the next one is material nouns. Material nouns are those from which we can make different other things. See the examples: silicon, ivory, wood, cement. We can see some more examples like iron, silver, gold, copper. Now the question is, why are they called material nouns? See the first example, wood. Just think, from wood we can make so many other things like furniture, like doors, windows. Cement, it is used in building construction. We can make also statues of cement. From iron we can make several other things. Silver and gold, they are used in making jewelry. Silicon, it is used in electronic devices. From ivory we can make different kinds of decorative items. So from all of these things, a different kind of things can be made. That's why they are called material nouns. Now students, see the last one, that is compound nouns or multi-word nouns. So when more than one word combine together to make a noun, then that is called compound noun. See the first example, haircut. Here, hair and cut, two words are combined together to make a noun. That's why it is an example of compound noun. Similarly, swimming pool, great grandmother, vice chancellor. In these three examples, more than one word are combined together. That's why they are also examples of compound nouns. Students, in this video we have covered the most important part of this chapter, that is different kinds of nouns, and I hope this video will help you to understand them. So please watch this video from the beginning to the end. Thank you.